and welcome to Plymouth Profiles. My name is Steve Triffletti, and we're delighted to have you here with us today. Plymouth Profiles is an opportunity to meet with people from the greater Plymouth area, to get to know them better and to have a conversation with them about what they do and how they've been involved in the greater Plymouth community. I have two guests today. I'm delighted to introduce both of them. I'm going to begin with our first guest, Kim Canducci. Kim, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Steve. Happy to be here.
Kim, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
So I've been born and raised in Plymouth. Actually, I go all the way back to the Mayflower, according to my mother's research. And so I've been active in the community for many years in many different ways, primarily for real estate consulting, and also I'm on a few different cultural events and committees in town as well.
And our other guest, Tiffany Cesero. Tiffany, welcome.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Tiffany, for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about your background.
My background is I'm a Plymouth resident for 22 years now, this coming August, and I have 7 children, 4 being step, and I'm a very active community participant.
Now, Tiffany, we first met at a Rotary meeting.
Yes, we did.
And you were, at least at that time, as a guest, and you've since joined a Rotary Club?
Yes, I have joined. I'm actually with Sunrise, Plymouth Sunrise. We meet on Thursday mornings, currently right now at the Hilton Gardens, Exit 5 Hotel, at 7 a.m. every Thursday.
And if someone were interested in attending or being a guest, how would they do that?
We would be more than delighted for them to attend one of our Rotary sessions, to just come in and on a Thursday, show up at 7 and see what they think.
And what does the Rotary Club do?
We do a lot of volunteer services throughout the community and many organizations. We have, we start at 7 a.m. and we end at 8 every Thursday morning. And we invite different guests in that promote various organizations. We have coming up the YMCA new director, Derek, is going to come and speak with us and about the opportunities that the Y will host. We've had Father Bills in, which is an organization that houses homeless people. We've had various hunger drives that we've done. We participate in drug awareness. The list just goes on and on. It's just heartfelt work that we do, and I enjoy every moment of it.
Great. Kim, now I know you know Tiffany. How did you meet Tiffany?
Well, I met Tiffany through BNI, so I'm a member of the Business Network International Pine Hills Partners that meets at the Marabou Spa every Tuesday morning at 7:15, and she came there, and we got to be friends actually outside of the community, which is really one of the best parts of BNI, not just for the people that you meet there for business relationships, but also sometimes they extend far beyond that.
And people who are watching this may not know what is BNI, so tell us a little bit about that.
So BNI is an international networking group. It stands for Business Networking International. It is truly a global organization, and the wonderful thing about it is that it's an opportunity to meet with business professionals in your community and to help them grow their businesses. So basically, you will learn a lot about everybody else that's in the industry there, in the committees there, what they offer to their customers, and then how you can help promote them and grow their businesses. And it's really a symbiotic relationship, and there's only one member per industry, so you're not going to have a lot of competitors there like you would in a lot of other networking events. So it's really unique in that way.
And how long have you been a member?
I'm coming my 3rd year now.
Oh, good. And have you been involved in any particular positions at the BNI?
Yes, I was. I was actually a growth coordinator for a while. I was also the librarian, and I was also responsible for doing a lot of the daily inspirational quotes and other activities like that. So you got to transition through a few different roles there, and try them on and see how you like them.
And Tiffany, how long have you been a member?
I'm about to enter into my 2nd year. Will be turning in my application again. Well, we have a renewal every year, and so I will be turning mine in at tomorrow's meeting.
And what have you done in the BNI chapter? What's been your role?
I've actually been asked to do multiple things. I kind of I assist whenever I'm asked. I've been a social host at certain times. I also put together stimulus. Each week we speak about, give a short 45-second introduction about our business and our company. So sometimes when you're amongst the same group of people every week, you want to make changes and kind of add a little spice to it, if you will. So that's what I'm responsible for doing.
So, Tiffany, if someone wanted to attend a BNI meeting, how would they go about that?
Well, if they wanted to attend a BNI meeting, actually, they too can show up. We meet every Tuesday morning. So we ask that you come anytime after 7 o'clock, from 7 to 7:30. We have social networking time, and there you get to meet the current members of our BNI group and other guests that are visiting. And you express your interest, and at the time of the meeting, we do introduce the membership coordinators that are present, and if you pique other interests, they can answer any questions after the meeting.
Good. So, Kim, at BNI and certainly outside of there, you have some business interests, both in real estate and internet marketing. So tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. So I have kind of a unique perspective, I think, on marketing in general, because I'm a real estate marketing consultant, but I also own an interest in an internet marketing firm. So we're able to use the resources of the internet marketing firm to really market and promote homes. And the really nice thing about it is we have access to tools that probably traditional, maybe a lot of real estate agents don't have access to, simply because they're really cutting edge or advanced. We're usually a little bit ahead of the curve on what's out there, and being able to have those tools available to market homes. So it works together really well.
And are you finding, I know having done this for many years, that historically a lot of real estate marketing was either in the newspaper or in brochures in real estate offices? So what would you say now tends to be the trend for marketing real estate?
Yeah, for sure. It's really actually, it's almost always online now. It's not to say that there isn't a place for print advertising. Certainly radio and TV are very powerful mediums as well, but something like over 98% of buyers really usually start out on the internet. I mean, that's especially true if you skew that down for demographics, for age-wise. Certainly millennials and younger people, they're always on the internet anyway. And really now it's actually shifted to mobile. So it's not just being on the internet. More and more websites are now making sure that they're mobile optimized, because people want to search on their phone, they want to get information right away, they can download flyers, brochures, they can take virtual tours. All of those have to be created in a way that they're going to work well on a mobile device, from a tablet to a cell phone. So it's been a big shift.
And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing internet marketing for about 10 years, and
in the real estate
for over 14.
So you've seen really the shift in real estate even during that time?
We really have, yeah. We started out by putting a lot of ads in the newspaper, classified ads, and driving people to 800 numbers and getting more information on a recorded hotline. And that can still work, but really the best bang for the buck is always going to be online.
Okay. And Tiffany, tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, well, the name of my company is K9 Mercantile Protection Incorporated, and K9 Mercantile Protection Incorporated has been around for 33 years this coming October. It was originally started by my husband and his dad, who was a retired police officer on the Boston police force. And second marriage for me, I came along and did a few things in the company, and the rest is history. I took over sole ownership, and it'll be 16 years now, coming up, and it's been quite an experience. There have been many of opportunities that have come my way, being a female-owned business. I carry a lot of different licenses that extend beyond the requirements. We've grown tremendously in the time that we've, since our stardom. The company itself, I provide both armed, unarmed guard services, armed or a guard with accompanied by a canine, to patrol and protect different sites that are out there. We do concierge work. We provide special events. As large as your event is that you need. We do personal protection. Our goal, what we really pride ourselves in, is to be on the scene from the beginning, which is the construction piece, and depending on what the facility is that is being developed, should there be a further need for concierge work, we like to kind of just marry right into the whole package, and that we've been pretty successful with that. But whatever, there's so many different areas and facets of security. Whatever we consult, we do consulting. Whatever someone's needs are, we try to advise and accommodate and safeguard their peace of mind.
And so you mentioned construction, but really anyone that needs security, either armed or unarmed guard or a dog.
Correct. A dog can just be solo to protect the property, or accompanied by a canine trained officer that would be on a 6-foot leash. Some of my jobs include we're in hospital facilities. We're utilized as supplemental security services for colleges. So we service some colleges, reputable colleges in the area. We also service Massachusetts as a whole. We're in, let's see, when I say construction, we work with a number of construction companies out there, and I would say that that's probably about 70 to 75% of the business, but that seems to be shifting and changing. We are in hotels as well. We're in bus terminals. We do private investigative work. I have, stakeouts. There's all kinds of different things that we're involved in.
And in addition to, so construction, could that be commercial or residential?
Correct. It could be commercial or residential, depending on the project and what the client is looking for.
And in addition to long-term, it could be short-term, a day, an evening, a wedding.
Yes, it could be. We've been hired to, we're also in I should say, reputable restaurants or clubs, nightclubs as well. Construction, a lot of the projects, some of them are state-run, some of them are privately run. That can just vary from, my goodness, if the project is slated to go 3 years, or it could be 6 months, you name it, we'll do it with a contract.
So Kim, your real estate, does that include new construction as well as existing homes?
It does. As a matter of fact, was working on a listing of a new construction project on Pearl Street in Whitehorse Beach, and that's an area that's undergone a real lot of transformation as quote-unquote summer cottages or smaller homes have been torn down to make room for these large not mansions, but large homes that take advantage of the ocean views that are there. So yes, I do new construction as well. A lot of resale work.
Things have changed. I mean, when I was a child, I grew up in the Rocky Nook section of Kingston, and it was very similar probably to Whitehorse Beach in terms of a lot of cottages. Our house happened to be a winterized cottage where we grew up, and yet now I know many homes have been either torn down or rehabbed into, full-time winter homes because they want to take advantage of the ocean and the views, and it's a wonderful quality of life.
Right, it really is, and that's grown a lot. And of course, the whole section of Manamet and down into Cedarville now has more stores, and it used to be a little more isolated. It was much more of a beachy community at one time, and now it's much more of a year-round community now.
And so what do you do when you talk about internet marketing? What is exactly that is?
Well, for the internet marketing, we actually help small businesses position themselves as market leaders on the internet. One of the things that we realize, a lot of people have a tremendous amount of expertise and knowledge, but they don't really have a way of getting it out there. Unless somebody were walking into their office and sitting down and talking to them, they would never know these things about the individual. So what we do is we help them to get that message out there in a variety of mediums. One of the really biggest ways is we do expert interviews on video. We optimize them with keywords and syndicate them across all sorts of different marketing channels. We also do it by helping them get reviews. Everybody now goes online and looks at reviews when they're going on to buy a book on Amazon or a recipe on the internet. we all used to reading reviews, and people come to count on them. In fact, over 72% of people trust reviews as much as a personal recommendation. And there's a lot of research that shows that even if somebody refers somebody, they'll still look them up online. And the first thing they look for is their reviews. So we help people to get those reviews so that they can show how good they are. And basically, if you think about it, it's very smart marketing because they're letting their customers do their marketing for them. So those are the two primary things that we help people do online.
You know, it's been a while now I've understood that, but when I first really became aware is when some of my younger staff people a number of years ago told me they were looking online for a doctor. And I thought, oh, what a personal decision. And they would say, well, you know, if you're referred to a doctor, you might still want to check them out. And I thought to myself, well, you know, it probably makes sense for a lawyer to have an online presence, because even though much of the work that we do is referral-based, people are always checking out online, and I now get that feedback often saying, oh yes, you know, we checked out your website and wanted to make sure, you know, what the presence was. And you find that to be true?
Very much so. And if you think about it too, particularly if you're a lawyer, if you're somebody who needs service of a lawyer, sometimes it could be for an embarrassing thing. Maybe you had a DUI. You know, you don't want to just, you know, ask somebody who should I use, or, you know, you don't want to just choose somebody out of the yellow pages, which has been always really the main province of attorneys has been in the yellow pages, which is still important for a certain demographic, but I think that that's an much older demographic, and, you know, people really can get a lot more information than they can from a yellow pages ad by looking at all your information that you have online.
And Tiffany, I know you have a nice website because I visited it before, so if someone wanted to look at your website, how would they do that?
You would go to www.k9mercantileprotectionincorporated.com.
Okay. And what would they find on your website?
Well, they would find we're actually in the midst of updating our website, if you will. In this day and time, you have every 6 months or so, the websites appears to keep evolving with all the times and changes. You'd find out some of the credentials of the company, how long we've been in business, and the services that we offer. The references I provide upon request. But we do come out and make site visits before we take on any job. We don't do anything over the phone. It's more of a personal relationship, so that we make sure that we're taking care of all of your needs and that we hear all of your needs.
So Tiffany, I know that in addition to actually providing guards and dogs, that you also work with clients when they are attempting to secure permitting. And you and I have worked in the past with restaurants, and most recently, you and I had the opportunity to be at a hearing before a municipal board. So tell us how you assist clients beyond the actual delivery of a guard.
Well, what often happens is the client, depending on what the quote-unquote venue is or what the establishment that they're trying to open, I have to provide to them. They give me a layout of what it is that they're looking to do, and I advise them accordingly, multiple visits to the property in terms of the best way to secure the facility. And I give them my recommendation, whether it be manpower, camera systems, monitoring their camera systems. My needs also extend beyond that. I will attend whatever meetings they are asking or required by any specific town that they need to attend, and I will go with them as a presence, and if they need me to speak on behalf of the security end, which has been extremely helpful in times past for people, we do offer that service as well. That's a part of the consulting piece of it.
And so you have relationships with local law enforcement?
Yes, I do. I work very closely with Plymouth Police Department, Chief Botieri, and we have a great working relationship to best suit the needs for the town of Plymouth.
And Kim, so when you're taking a listing or working with someone wanting to buy property, do you talk to them about internet presence for a listing seller, or if a buyer is looking, is there a conversation about how they can best benefit from utilizing online information?
Yeah, for sure, but on both sides, that's true. For the seller side, sellers, of course, for them, it's all about exposure because price is really a function of supply and demand, and the more exposure it has, and there's a lot of internet tools that we use to help get that extra exposure. We use a lot of video, virtual tours, and we put them on some different kinds of websites that aren't necessarily the more common ones, but we all link them back to an individual property website that's created just for that property, so it gets a lot of exposure that way. On the buy side, we have proprietary lists of homes that a lot of realtors don't have because we compile special lists that we have that we give to our buyers, and we give them access to the realtor database so they get updates in real time. A lot of third-party sites like Zillow and Trulia, although they're very excellent and have a lot of good information, sometimes information isn't as fresh and as up to date as it is with the realtor database, so we make sure that they have that as well. So the minute a home hits the market, we can send them something that's filtered exactly for their home buying criteria, so they're not inundated with looking at a lot of homes online that may not fit their needs. So it plays a part on both sides.
You mentioned earlier about online referrals or information. How does someone deal with a negative online piece? It could be one line that's negative. I mean, sometimes I see if I'm going to travel someplace and I want to look at a resort, and then you see somebody complaining, oh, my room wasn't clean or something like that. I mean, how do you combat that if really it was just a disgruntled customer that had an axe to grind, or if it really wasn't true, or if you've done things to improve it? How do people improve their online presence?
Well, it's a really good question, and the answer is that there's two ways to do it. Number one, you have to be monitoring your online reputation. It's not a passive endeavor. You have to know what sites people can leave reviews on, make sure you have a presence on them, and that you are watching them so that you can respond to a bad review, number one. And how do you respond to them is usually you gotta make sure you never attack back. You always want to take it in stride, take it as constructive criticism, and if at all possible, reach out to that person to offer some kind of remediation to whatever problem that they had, whether it be a gift certificate for a free night stay in a hotel or something like that. The other part of it is to make sure that you're getting enough reviews so that if you have some negative ones, they're overwhelmed by preponderance of good ones. Because everybody knows that somebody has a bad day sometimes. Restaurants have the problem in particular. The wait staff might be late or the food was cold, but yet most people have a great experience there. So reaching out to them, knowing what people are saying, and having enough good reviews so that people look at the whole balance of what their reputation is.
And Tiffany, speaking of restaurants and bad reviews, I know that in the past you worked with a restaurant that was getting bad reviews in terms of complaints from the municipality regarding their operation. What do you do as a security company to come in and consult with a restaurant if, in fact, they're having issues with people being out of control? How do you evaluate that?
Well, there's a few different ways that can be done. It depends on where they are in the stages of the disturbances and complaints that are being offered at the given time. If I'm at the beginning piece of it, I'm brought in at the beginning before it gets to the town and you get to the selectmen and the board and all the officials in town. There are things that I can advise because I work very closely, not just with the Plymouth Police Department, multiple police departments, in terms of what it is, in fact, that they're looking for. And I advise the clients accordingly and make suggestions and offer my services.
The planning thing.
The planning. It's absolutely. So prior, if the facility is not opened, I come on at the beginning of the stage and offer my recommendations. 33 years in business, I think we know a little bit about security. So we will come right on from the planning piece of it and advise, assess the property, and give our recommendation. And we hope that the client, because our goal and our objective is to safeguard their peace of mind. We don't need them to do our job. And as long as they comply and do what we feel is best and most cost effective for them, they should have a successful operation.
And I know that you've come in to establishments where they had their own internal manager trying to secure the premises, and then you come in kind of as professionals to provide security. In a case like this, how do you come up with recommendations for them if it's more like a crisis management? Do you sit down and meet with them and listen to what's going on?
Oh, absolutely, and each person individually, because one person can be on one page, the other one could be on another. So I kind of independently meet prior with everyone, and then come back as a group and assess and deliver my recommendations, because different people do business differently. And you have to find the common denominator in order to have a successful operation.
So we're taping this in March of 2015. Tiffany, you and I recently attended a hearing in which you are available to provide security. And Kim, it's, again, March 2015. Any statistics or any type of information you can tell us in connection with local real estate market?
Well, for one thing for sure, I think all buyers know that right now inventory is really tight. There's not a lot of homes to choose from, and buyers are out there because interest rates are still at historic lows. I think personally one of the reasons for the delay in the spring market usually starts like in February,
Sure.
But the snow has just, I think it's just made everything
Sure.
delayed by several weeks. So
we've heard that.
Yeah, but there's less homes on the market than there were a year ago too. Like right now, for example, there's a total of 317 homes listed for sale. This time last year, there were 336, which isn't a huge difference, but it goes to show the trend that we're still definitely in a. And we have what's called basically a 4-month supply of inventory, which pretty much makes it a seller's market. Balanced inventory is more when you have 5 to 6 months of inventory, but now it's definitely still very much a seller's market.
I have a closing this Friday, actually, for an estate. And just before we came on air, I got a message that the dumpster that we had delivered in order to remove trash and other things, we had one earlier in the year, and it was right in the driveway. And today, because even though it's mid-March, we just had a little snowfall last night, the dumpster company reported that they could only get the dumpster halfway down the driveway because of the ice. So here we are, often, St. Patrick's Day parades occur on sunny afternoons, and yet, we're still dealing with the weather, and it's got to affect the real estate. It certainly affects, in this case, for me trying to get this closing ready to close later this week. It'll happen, but it's a number of curveballs.
Yeah.
And I suppose for you, in the past, we never saw photos of property being sold with lots of snow, but now if you want to list it, you're going to have the snow.
Well, that's right. There hasn't been a lot of choice. And of course, homes look their worst in the winter. The landscaping's not in bloom. That's snow and ice everywhere. Water gets in the basement. I mean, it's hard for sellers. It's through no fault of their own, snowpack and stuff like that. So, and sometimes we couldn't even do a showing for the buyers because the owner was away. Might have been a second home, and they never had the driveway plowed, so we couldn't even get to the front door. So we had some of that going on as well.
Wow.
So Tiffany, you mentioned a little bit earlier about Rotary and the YMCA being a speaker. And I know you're involved in some very exciting things with the YMCA, including construction during the winter. So what's happening with the local Y here in Plymouth?
Well, very exciting things. The Y is slated to open the first phase of its facility in, sometime in September. But keep in mind, speaking of delays, there has been a delay in the construction, which has set us back. So our goal is sometime September, but that's not cut in stone.
What's your involvement with the Y?
My involvement is I've been an active board member. I'm going on my 8th year. I served 4 years. Recently, just this past year, gave up my post as annual campaign fundraiser. And what that entailed was I was the chairman of raising monies to help send children in need to camp. And last year I started out, our numbers were approximately 62,000 when I began in my first year, and I left at finishing off over 110,000 last year in terms of raising. And it just melts my heart, and it's so rewarding to me, although I don't have any children at this time that are able to, they're all grown up, but it's just my passion, and just to see a happy face, get the kids out of the house. There's so many of them are in troubled times, and their home life is not the best. And the opportunities that the Y offers, I mean, their programs just extend beyond just the YMCA. They have social services that are amazing and how they help families. It's just so many different things that the Y offers. Looking forward to the family facility in terms of the workout. It just gives people a sense of where to go, what to do. Also, we have kind of we're looking for members that are people that are looking to be a part of the YMCA board. We're still growing our board at this time, so if you're interested, please feel free to give me a call or call down to the YMCA. That phone number is 508-888-2290 and ask to speak with Derek. Or you can call myself. I'll give you my direct line at 508-317-8324, Tiffany Cesero. And the other piece of the Y is I was just recently asked, and as of January 1st, I now sit also on the South Shore Executive Board for the YMCA. So I just can't get enough of immersing myself into this wonderful program and helping raise monies for it.
Well, Tiffany, my 3 children all attended Camp Clark. And after they attended, they were actually serving as counselors. And in fact, my son Franklin got involved with you
right.
now on the Y board because of his involvement working. But again, how does Camp Clark figure into all this? Does Camp Clark, how's that figuring in terms of the local work of the Y in Plymouth?
The Camp Clark, it's amazing actually. That piece, the structure we will still have Camp Clark where it is in its physical location off of Hedges Pond Road 100, I believe. My children have actually benefited as well as camp participants and counselors after they didn't want to leave themselves either, and they all contribute. But the Y itself will still be, the camp piece of it will still be in that same location. We have so many different people that come together. I know Blue Cross Blue Shield, in times past, they send a crew down to do the spring cleanup just before the Y gets underway. And it's just wonderful. We've had the fields, we've had some of the local, excavating companies volunteering, doing work down there. The electrical piece, we've had a company that's been involving doing volunteer work. It's just, or donating their time. It's just wonderful to see everything coming together. But the camp is expanding, and they have a lot of other opportunities on the horizon, but they do have a nice baseball field that was completed, but the programs that they offer just are endless, and the talent that they have.
For people that are watching, I mean, your children benefited, graduates, if you will, from Camp Clark.
Yes.
What are your children doing now?
I have, my 30-year-old son is who graduated from Cornell University, also went to Milton Academy. So he was actually at the PCIS. Correct, yes. So graduated from PCIS. He's actually the operations director for Canine Mercantile Protection Incorporated. He has been a tremendous attribute. His name is Andre. My middle child, Andrell, just graduated from University of Redlands, California. Also went to Thayer Academy, and he's, thank goodness, gainfully employed with a Fortune 500 company. And my daughter, Ashley, whom is 18, is going to Suffolk. She's attending her first year. She did all of her schooling here in Plymouth, and she's been extremely successful. My stepchildren, who are doing wonderfully, Jonathan, Heather, Stephanie. One is in the culinary world, doing very well. We have Heather that's involved in the MBTA services, doing exceptionally well. And they all help out in the business in some capacity. And we also have Stephanie, who's in the medical field and also works with the company as well.
Terrific. And Kim, You've also been involved in a nonprofit. Tell us about that.
Yes, right. So I actually been involved with the Pilgrim Hall Museum for about 8 years now, and I'm on the Special Events Committee. So we have two really big fundraisers every year which fund the museum. One is our Holiday House Tour, which was attended by like 375 people, or 425. It was a large number. Broke a record last year. And then they have lunch at the Plymouth Country Club, and it's a really, really nice it's a 2-day event. And then every summer, we have a summer party, which is a fundraiser. Usually on somebody donates an oceanfront property for us to have the tent, and we have an auction, and all the proceeds go to the museum. So I've been doing that for quite a while.
If people that are watching may not know, what is the Pilgrim Hall Museum? It's surprising to me always how many people live and work in Plymouth and haven't necessarily visited some of our local landmarks, I guess.
Right, right. I think it's the oldest continuing operating museum in America, and it is full of, as you may imagine, pilgrim artifacts, some amazing artwork by some major artists. In fact, right now they're in the middle of a restoration of one of the larger paintings, but it has a beautiful library full of historic books. They have tours, they have a gift shop, they have lectures, and the PDIC, Plymouth Industrial Development Corporation, has a permanent, they put a new wing on the museum a couple of years ago, and they have rotating exhibits through that change every few months. So it's a great place to visit. They even have programs for children, and they have Kids Week in the spring during vacation week, and if you haven't been there, it's amazing. It's a great place to visit.
And how did you get involved?
You know, actually, I got involved through my real estate connections. Actually, just another real estate broker was on that committee, and she said that they could use some help, and that was it. Basically,
Wow.
been there ever since.
And how does that differ from the plantation? Well, how would you say? Because plantation, I think, is also considered a museum of sorts.
Right. So the Plymouth Plantation is what's called a living museum, where they have 17th century reenactments of what life was like, the way they cooked, the way they talked. They basically never break character, and it's a really wonderful experience, even right from the farm animals to what they cook and how they lived. Whereas the Pilgrim Hall Museum is more of a traditional museum that is full of more of artifacts and lectures. The other thing the museum does too is they have ongoing lectures by various. Sometimes they'll have authors there who've written a historical book, as well as the exhibits that change as well. Yeah.
So Tiffany, at the start we talked about your connection with Kim through BNI,
Yeah.
and how has that grown in terms of? Do you ever see her outside of BNI at any other events or groups?
I do. We do see each other, not as often as I'd like Kim, but we have run into each other. Our social circles are similar. We've both been actively involved on various campaigns. We just recently had an election, so we've and interfaced, and we keep each other updated in terms of many different opportunities for networking, which both of us, I believe, at this time have taken a strong interest in pursuing, because it's important, whether it be different chamber events that are being hosted or just social events. And Steve, you always supply us with all the social events. The social calendar. I will never be able to fill your shoes, but I will die trying.
Well, speaking of campaigns, many years ago, when I first ran for office, there was no internet involvement, no online presence. And Kim, as you mentioned, just as we do real estate differently now, I guess campaigns are different. Tell us a little bit about political campaigns and online presence, since I know you really have a lot of expertise and really an expert in online marketing activity.
Right. So, again, politics being politics, there's never a substitution for pressing the flesh, as they say, and meeting people in person, making that personal connection. But again, everybody is on the internet, and
so you have the face-to-face with Tiffany in a political campaign, but then there's the internet on top of that.
Right. No question about it. So we put together websites for candidates. We do social media for them. We do video for them, and basically any way that the candidate can get his message out to his people that he'd like to reach. The internet is a really powerful way to do that. So That's what we help them build, the websites, like I said, the social media, and the ongoing work to update articles, new videos that come out, appearances a candidate makes that are on video, or articles that are written about them in the paper. Those all go on the internet, so they're all there.
So beyond the campaigns, I know, Tiffany, you have an interest in local government, and recently you've been serving on the Charter Review Committee for the town of Plymouth. What is that? What's the Charter Review Committee?
Well, pretty much the Charter Review Committee is a set of laws that are in place in the town, and that it comes up every 5 years for review. Although we do not have the capacity of, we make recommendations. We don't have the ability to change anything, but we can certainly make recommendations, hear from the public. We have decided to meet twice a month, and it's always live. And our home now is at Plymouth Intermediate, so school, and it's every, Wednesday, the second Wednesday and the fourth Wednesday of every month. And it, like I said, it's live on television. It's interesting, and it's my first real piece of diving into government. So there have been a lot of learning curves, and it's very insightful for me to hear from the public and the various views and what is very meaningful to people, and trying to come to a happy medium, if you will, or make changes, because we have to evolve with the times. What might have worked back when doesn't work in this era and time that we're living in.
So if someone had an interest either in attending a Charter Review Committee meeting, could they do that? Or if they wanted to get in touch with the committee or you, how would they do that?
Well, we actually have a mailbox that's at Town Hall. They can certainly contact the clerk's office. Our chairman is Mike Lincoln. And that's the way of contacting us, other than showing up on the times that I had mentioned, the 2 Wednesdays of the month. And we begin a hard 7 o'clock, and you never know when it's going to end, but we certainly arrive a few minutes beforehand. You're also given an opportunity to speak both before or while the session is underway. So there's 2 opportunities during the actual review committee meeting to speak publicly if you have something that you'd like to bring to our attention.
Good, good. And Kim, you're also involved in a municipal group, the cultural group. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. So I've been involved with the Plymouth Cultural Council, which is actually part of the Massachusetts Cultural Council. So every year.
What's that? I don't know.
Well, basically, it's a way to promote the arts and culture in Massachusetts, and it gets a certain number of grant monies every year, depending on the budget. And of course, there've been some budget cutbacks here and there. But so the Plymouth Cultural Council is a part of that on a local level, and so we are given a certain amount of money every year, and then we advertise for any kind of organization in the area to submit an application for a grant. And the Cultural Council reviews those applications, and then on a whole different array of criteria on basically, how the number of people it would serve, the amount of interest people would have in it, and so forth. Then certain number of dollars are allocated to it. So, for example, the Plymouth Cultural Council supports the Thanksgiving Day Parade. It supports Project Arts. It supports various school events, plays and musicals and things like that. So it's really quite diverse, and they have just so much money. They try to spread it around as much as they can. So I've been serving on that board for 3 years now.
And how does someone contact the Cultural Council?
Right. So actually, there's actually a website, plymouthculturalcouncil.org, or they could give me a call at my office, which is 508-876-4888, and then get more information that way as well.
And Kim, professional organizations, there is a board of realtors,
There is, yeah.
and tell us about that.
So I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors, the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, and also the Plymouth Association of South Shore Realtors. So 3 realtor organizations. A lot of people feel that, don't understand that just because you have a real estate license, it doesn't mean that you are a realtor, which is actually a designation that you have to pay to be a member every year. We have to take a certain number of hours of continuing education every single year to keep up with our licenses. And so there's actually quite a commitment to being a realtor, and it's not something that you can really, really do on a part-time basis. I really do that full-time as well as do the consulting for the marketing. So I'm busy.
Tiffany,
Yes.
any professional organizations in which you're involved? I know that you go to Boston and you're involved in some groups.
There's a lot of different organizations that I'm affiliated with. A contractors association group that also
Is that a
meets-
state organization?
It is not. It's community driven to help minority contractors succeed in business. It's called MMCA, Mass Minority Contractors Association, and we meet regularly every month. I'm the co-chair for the membership committee, and it pretty much promotes minority firms and construction companies that are in need of assistance and guidance to help strengthen their businesses, if you will.
And when we talk about minorities, are we talking about women, or is it limited to sex or
No,
racial or ethnic?
No, it's the whole kit and caboodle. There's no discrimination there. It's just it's a minority driven, and we hold different awareness meetings monthly throughout the year, educating. A lot of the contractors come from all over. I mean, you have folks that are in the business of construction, whether it be frame steeling, whether it tile, and so we just kind of help with opportunities and help with certifications that folks do not have currently. I'm SDO certified, which it used to be, they called it SAMBA, which means I'm woman-owned, minority-owned, as well as I just received, it was like providing your first born, a DBE certification, which is for a disadvantaged business, because there are opportunities there that if you are a disadvantaged business, there are more opportunities that await you. So it's more of an enlightenment organization that is there to help facilitate and make awareness and teach about strengthening and growing companies in the minority communities. And they come from all over. So that's been very rewarding as well. I've attended many of different workshops. It has formed a lot of relationships, if you will. K9 itself, the company has we've grown and been able, our sustainability has been impacted in terms of repeat business because of our names in the construction world and all the above. So, and we have sponsorships, that organization, the bigger, some of the construction companies, there's opportunities there for that. So it's pretty busy. I'm busy as well.
And so, Kim, when we heard earlier from Tiffany and about her family, and you mentioned your family traces back to the Mayflower, but I know you have some people right here in Plymouth. So tell us about some of the other family members who live and work in this area.
Right. Well, so we have a pretty small family. My brother actually is a local business owner, and so he's been a real estate investor, and so we've done quite a bit of business together in that respect. He has a beautiful family, and of course my mother is still here, and I have a daughter who is 27, and so she's still living in the community. So we're not a big family like Tiffany's, but
my daughter speaks very highly of your brother's wife.
Oh, yes, that's right. She's a school teacher at Indian Brook, and she's been there for many years. Yeah, very popular teacher.
And your brother's, John's business is in construction.
It is, that's right. Yeah, blue board and plaster, and but he those are the primary things that he does. But he's very talented. He can do just about anything. So.
And it dovetails well with what your activity an interest is in real estate.
It does, right, yeah, for sure. And like I said, he is an active investor as well, so been able to help him grow his real estate holdings as well by just making opportunities known to him that, especially with the downturn in the market where so many things needed cash buyers, they weren't going to be able to get mortgages on them, and they needed somebody, the handyman special, who could do that work and do a lot of the work themselves and still make it profitable because they could do the work themselves. So.
And Kim, this program really goes out beyond just Plymouth. So is your area of coverage for real estate limited to Plymouth?
No, it's not. I do concentrate in Plymouth a lot because like I said, I was born and raised here and live here, but I actually work with a lot of veterans in particular. Definitely want to mention that. And a lot of young buyers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and I actually, wherever they want to buy a home within basically a 45-mile radius, we help. So I'm very active on the Cape as well as, up closer to Hanover in that area as well.
And I know that's actually an area of concentration, working with a lender for veterans.
Yes, that's right, exactly. Yeah, I work with a lot of lenders that specialize in VA loans because they are a different kind of a loan, and it really helps the process to go through smoother if you're working with a lender who specializes in them. Absolutely. And same on the real estate side, being a realtor who knows a lot about VA loans and what they're looking for in a home and what will pass, what won't pass VA inspection, allows us to guide the buyers too, so that they don't want to look at homes that just aren't going to be appropriate for a VA loan.
And Tiffany, you live in Plymouth and work nearby. What's your area? I mean, do you have a limitation as to where you would go to provide security?
No, we go wherever is needed. We cover Massachusetts. Currently, we're in the process of expanding into Rhode Island and Connecticut at this time. And we have an office in Plymouth. We also have I have a physical location as well in Middleborough, Mass, where our dogs are housed. And there's a kennel there that I own, and we board, groom, and train there as well. That's called Nightingale Doggy Lodge. And so, and then I have an office in Dorchester, which seems to be kind of centrally located for people coming wherever the direction is that they come. But wherever the job is needed, I will go. Make arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
We started this by talking about the connection that we all have with Business Networking International, and we talked about the fact that they meet on Tuesday mornings at Mirbeau, and anybody could come as a guest. Tiffany, take us through what would be a typical meeting if someone were to show up. What would happen?
Well, if someone had shown up, it gives you a wonderful time to meet professionals that are driven, focused, have a vested interest. A BNI, being a BNI member, there is a dollar amount that you have to pay yearly, and you also would. We also absorb the costs of the venue together. So people that you're coming there, first-time person, the people that are already there that are proud members are actively interested in seeing who you are, how they can help you. It's all business driven and oriented. That's the focus and the goal. So you show up, we have our meet and greet. Depends on if we're doing any fun we do have a raffle sometimes that we keep in a little pot, and then you kind of, what the amount of money that's collected, we split it, and kind of, so that's kind of a little highlight of our little event. You hear from the president. The president speaks briefly, William Wallace. He will kind of just enlighten us in terms of what's going on. Sometimes we have nice inspirational quotes that we speak about, and then we go around the room. I believe our membership now, usually there's anywhere between 30 and 40 guests, or combined with guests or members. But you're there, and you have the opportunity to speak about your business. But the members of that particular BNI organization have 45 seconds to get up in front of you, and they do what you call a elevator speech, and we tell a little bit about who we are in our business. But we keep to the time. We have a time person that will keep the time, and then after that we have It's the visitor's time to speak. We don't allow them the same amount of time, but they get 30 seconds to speak. They also have the opportunity to hand out their business cards, and then we adjourn the meeting, and afterwards there's another networking opportunity.
And Kim, what about the food? I have to confess, I love the food.
The food is the best. We are so spoiled at our BNI group. Chef Stephen Coe, who is a member of our group, wound up leaving us for greener pastures over at Mirabeau, and because the hours were just such he couldn't do both. But he takes really good care of us. Every Tuesday morning,
Yes.
there is amazing food from. I don't know how they make these really smooth. What am I trying to say? Not a cheesecake.
Quiche.
Quiche, thank you. Quiche and homemade donuts and delicious coffee. Everything's in China. Fresh fruit. It's really amazing. And Mirabeau is just a beautiful location. We're very, very lucky to be there.
When you mentioned Stephen Coe, I can't help but think about what Tiffany was saying about guests coming and speaking. I brought a guest not too long ago, and he was looking for a job. He was in between seasonal. And right at that meeting, he was hired by Chef Stephen Coe, who was a visitor. But the opportunity for not only just networking, but promoting a business, getting a job just by attending. So if people want to attend, they certainly welcome. So, Tiffany, when you're not working at K9 and when you're not involved in those other activities, what do you like to do in your free time?
My family means a lot to me, and every opportunity that I get, I do like to spend with my family. I do like to bike ride, boating, and walking, running. What else do? We do just spending quality time. I mean, my children are around us a lot, and we do different activities with them, nature walks and hiking and.
And you're hostess with the mostest.
I do enjoy entertaining Steve.
We had a nice networking event at your house during the holidays.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Glad you enjoyed yourselves.
And Kim, what about you for your...
For me, cooking is my passion. So I spend most of my free time cooking. I love to cook, and I'm also an avid reader. I like to read a lot. I spend a lot of time also in the summertime kayaking and playing the piano and a lot of outdoor stuff in terms of walking, hiking, and things like that.
So for people who may have turned in at the last minute, Kim, if someone wants to get in touch with you, you're a real estate expert advisor with an interest in an internet marketing firm. How do they contact you?
They can reach me by going to my website, which is homesforsaleplymouthdma.com. And they can also download free reports on 7 mistakes to avoid if you're a home buyer, and sellers on how to sell for 18% more than traditional methods.
Tiffany Cesero, someone just joined us. How do they get in touch with you for security protection, guards, dogs?
Okay, well, you can do so by calling our main company number is 508-250-2259, or you can send out an email to info@k9mercantileprotection.com.
Excellent. Tiffany, thank you so much for being here on Plymouth Profiles as our guest.
Thank you, Steve, for having me.
Owner of K9 Mercantile Protection Incorporated, and Kimberlie Canducci.
Thank you, Steve.
Kim, thanks so much for being here. Expert real estate advisor and an owner of an internet marketing firm. Delighted to have you, and thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for joining us this edition of Plymouth Profiles. Special thanks to Ken Bukes, who is in the control room. We couldn't do this without him. And also joining him today, Kevin Joyce, who has also been helping out with the technical production of this. So thanks to Kevin, thanks to Ken, thanks to all of you for joining us. Please join again in the future for future editions of Plymouth Profiles. Thank you and good day.